A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter tonight is Alan Kiama. And now, Kenya is currently losing an estimated of 900 billion shillings every year due to the effects of climate change, a figure that could rise to 15 trillion by 2039 if no action is taken. From floods to droughts to failing harvests and damaged infrastructure, the economic impact is felt across the country. Experts are now calling on both government and institutions to set up, saying Kenya has the chance and the responsibility to take the lead in global climate solutions.
Kenya is currently losing an estimated 900 billion annually due to the escalating impacts of climate change, with projections suggesting this could rise to 15 trillion by 2039 if urgent measures are not implemented. The losses, equivalent to 3 to 5% of the nation's GDP, come from recurring climate-related disasters.
3 to 5% of our GDP is lost annually. You know what this means? It's easy sometimes to read statistics, but I want to bring it out. That bleed to the economy and its entire output, economic output, costs us about 870 billion Kenya shillings annually. This is strictly due to climate change. That's the cost of floods. That's the cost of droughts. That's the failed harvests, the lost jobs that we have lost in this country, the damaged infrastructure. If over the next 15 years nothing is done and nothing changes, we are looking at a loss of 15 trillion Kenya shillings. May sound just a number, but I dare say that this is enough to transform our entire nation.
Speaking at the launch of the Institute for Sustainability and Climate, environmentalist Dr. Kalua Green has called on Kenya to lead globally in finding solutions, emphasizing the country's unique positions as one of the most affected.
We have a role, and I believe that Africa is not a problem to be solved. No, it is not. Africa is the solution that is waiting to be had. We must be able to wake up, and we are, of course, the youngest continent in the world. We hold 30% of world's minerals, 60% of our uncultivated land, and the numbers go on and on. When are we going to pick all this to make it a reality?
To combat the crisis, the government has launched an ambitious plan to plant 15 billion trees by 2032. Although this initiative has faced criticism over potential political motives, it remains a key part of the country's climate strategy. Meanwhile, scientists and experts are urging Kenya's university and colleges to take a more active role, not just in educating students about climate change, but in developing real and scalable solutions.
Look at our universities, total mess, most of them. The ones that you would expect that they have everything that would take this country to the next level. They have forgotten that we are in a time of crisis. Leaders are fighting in courts, one after the other. You don't even know who is the vice chancellor or who is going to be what, because of other interests. That we must keep this organization Christ-led and a way that is going to change our way.
Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Now, to our next story. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the Speaker of the National Assembly have eulogized Pope Francis for being a leader who touched many lives in the world. Odinga and Wetangula, who paid a courtesy visit to the Vatican headquarters in Nairobi, stated that the world has lost a diligent servant, as Davis Karani reports.
As the world continues to mourn the death of Pope Francis, who died on Monday, Kenyan leadership today, led by the Speaker of the National Assembly and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, paid a visit to the Vatican headquarters in Nairobi as they rendered the country's condolence to Rome and the Catholic family at large.
Each time there is trouble or problems anywhere in the world, he has been a voice of reason. He has spoken for the downtrodden. He has spoken for the oppressed. Whether it was in Indonesia, whether it was in Gaza, whether it was in Mexico, wherever it was, he has spoken very strongly. So we join you during this very, very sad period of mourning as we mourn the Pope.
Pope Francis has been eulogized as a person who impacted many lives through his loving and caring principles, especially to the kids, as Jesus did in the Bible.
As Kenyans and as the Catholic family, we always cherish our Pope. We always love our Pope. And in 2015, Pope Francis visited Kenya, and he left an indelible mark on the minds of Kenyans. He stood for building bridges between people and communities, and not barricading walls around people and communities. Kenya remains profoundly part of the family of progressive leadership of our church, the Catholic Church, and all churches, and the fraternity of churches, because at the end of the day we believe in one God.
He will be laid to rest on Saturday at the smaller basilica in St. Mary's Major in Rome, which is about 4 miles away from the Vatican Wall, just in accordance to his will.
And may God help us so that we imitate the many things that he taught us as a Holy Father in this church.
Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
The government has announced plans to appeal a High Court ruling that declared the Maragal-led task force on police reforms unconstitutional. The Interior PS Raymond Omolo confirmed the state will challenge the decision, which halted implementation of the task force's recommendations. Now, Justice Mugambi ruled that President Ruto overstepped his mandate by forming the 23-member task force, stating that only the National Police Service Commission has such authority. The ruling followed a petition by Dr. Magarigi Kenyi. Despite the setback, the Interior Ministry says it will respect the ruling while pushing to implement most of the task force proposals, which address issues like police welfare, housing and equipment. The government believes the court's interpretation of the president's powers should be reviewed.
That court decision challenged the constitution of the task force, but it primarily focused on the role of the National Police Service Commission. And out of the 271 recommendations that came, 16 of those recommendations are the ones that were actually challenged. What we have agreed on is that we respect the decision of the court, and more so insofar as those 16 recommendations are concerned, and we will be pursuing redress through the court process to address those 16 recommendations. And what it means that out of the 571 recommendations, the rest of the other recommendations, we will continue with their implementation.
Moving on swiftly, a delay by police in enforcing a court-ordered eviction is being blamed for the tragic loss of 9 lives in a suspected arson attack in Upanda village, Ugunja sub-county. Leonard Ochieng, brother to the late Richard Opondo, who died alongside his wife and 7 children, said the deaths could have been avoided if the police had acted on the order issued by Ukwala law courts. Opondo recounted how the family fought for over 20 years to secure the eviction ruling, only for the police to delay action for nearly a year. Despite escalation to high authorities, including the Inspector General's office, enforcement was not done in time. He believes the suspect, fearing eviction, may have set the fire. The family now fears for their safety, with the main suspect still at large. The Siaya County government has pledged support, while officials have urged calm. Investigations are underway, with assurances that all responsible will be brought to justice. The grieving family is appealing for help with funeral expenses, including 9 coffins, transport, mortuary fees, and rebuilding their home.
Sasa venye alipatiwa hiyo tena kutoda hiyo, akakataa kuhama tena. Akashindilia hapo tena, amekataa kuhama. Then ndio sasa tukachukua hii eviction. Sasa eviction imetoka last year mwezi wa 7. Sasa hii eviction tukapelekea chief yake na OCS yake. OCS na akasema napelekea nani? OCPD. OCS alichukua hiyo kitu akaweka tu hapo kwa ofisi yake, kwa faili zake, amechukua tu hizo vitu akaweka tu hapo zimkalala tu. Sasa venye aliziweka huko, mimi nikauliza ndugu yangu, hii nini eviction imeenda aje? Na muda yake ndani ninaona inaisha. Ndugu yangu akaniambia, niliambiwa hiyo eviction order uangai expire, inakonga tu hivyo. Saa mimi pia nikanyamaza. Sasa nikakuja nyumbani December. Huyo ndugu yangu akakuja. Nikamuuliza, mimi hii story nataka tuende hapo kwa OCS tusikie hii maneno ikaje. Tukaenda na yeye. Kwenda na yeye. OCS akaniambia ni kama akaambia huyo ndugu yangu, huwezi fanyiwa kitu kama huko, lazima ukue. Na hizo barua ni kama misplace, sijui mahali ziko. Sasa hebu enda mtafute zingine. Nikamwambia hapana, hizo barua niko nazo hapa kwa simu, acha niende pale kwa cyber nikutolee. Nikuletea hapa. Kama ni hizo ndio unataka. Kumletea nikapata hizo vitu anazo. Zimekaa tu hapo kwa file. Nikamuuliza, mbona hujapelekea UCPD na ulisema hizi vitu zinapelekwa UCPD? Akaniambia sijapata time. Kila wakati anasema mara siji kuna meeting ya siji president anakuja kwa county, sasa wako kwa meeting ya county, mara siji nini. Haya, akatuambia nyinyi endeleeni tu na kazi yenu, rudini Nairobi kwa makazi zenu. Hizi maneno hii ni kazi ya serikali tunafanya. Jamaa shughuliki.
Ile ilifanyika mambo ya shamba. Tumeongea mambo ya shamba sana. It's unfortunate what happened. Maneno ya kuchukua sheria mkononi. Kama serikali ilikuwa imeamua shamba ni ya fulani, mbona uende ukuchukue sheria? Umeshindwa. Unaangamiza familia ya mtu. Hatujui ni nani lakini tutajua. Na hata kama wewe unajua, bado sisi tunafanya uchunguzi. Wale wote wamehusika, wote. Hata wenye waliletwa. Unajua serikali iko na mkono refu. Wacha niwaambie hivyo. Hata wenye walikuwa wametoka mbali wote. Tutawasanya pamoja, tutawapata. Hiyo ni kazi yenye tunafanya na iko very active investigation. I think this is a national thing. Actually it's a national, not actually the county issue. It's a national issue. It's a gone far. It's a very unique issue that has happened in this village. Wananchi wa Sigomre tukae pamoja, na sisi kama serikali tumewaambia share information, tupeane information. Ukiona kitu suspicious sema, usione ati ni kama kitu ya kawaida. Jana tulikuwa na nyinyi hapa, sijui nasikia kuna watu wanajifanya wa stima wanakata sijui waya za stima sijui nini. Na wewe unaona na utuambi. Sasa ukinyamaza, maybe huyu mtu ameplan kitu atakuja kufanya. Si ni ukweli?
I've been asked to tell the affected families particularly that the county government of Siaya will work with you on this journey. This is a very difficult journey for the family, we are well aware, and it is therefore the wish of the county government that we be together. We may not be able to restore life is gone, but we can get to some extent in terms of just trying to restore the family to the best or to the very little that we can. So please count on the support of the county government as we go through this journey.
The race to reconstitute the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, entered a final home stretch today. The Dr. Nelson Makanda-led vetting commission wrapped the rigorous exercise by interviewing 5 candidates for the IEBC commissioner's positions. What is next after this?
Finally, the Dr. Nelson Makanda-led commission has finished the task to reconstitute a complete electoral body in the country. A strenuous exercise that has lasted for about 33 days at the College of Insurance in South Sea, here in Nairobi. The last 5 cohorts for the shortlisted candidates for the IEBC commissioner's positions Among them, Hassan Nur Hassan appeared before the panel to explain their suitability for the job.
My name is Adam Solo. I'm a member of the selection panel. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Hassan.
Good afternoon.
My name is Nicodemus Bore na karibu sana.
Asante.
Assalamu alaikum, Hassan.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Pleasure.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hassan. Na karibu sana.
Mr. Noor, what in your own understanding is the core mandate of the IBC?
Thank you, Madam. The core mandate of IBC is to supervise and conduct elections, to register Kenyans for the purpose of registration, to supervise political party nomination exercises, to oversee a credible election, to ensure that Kenyans participate in the election in the most effective manner. It has the responsibility of also for oversighting political party nominations.
Great. So another function is to carry out referendums, right?
Right.
So what is the procedure for referendum in this country?
Madam Chair, for referendum to be conducted, there must be a parliamentary approval to it. I don't know exactly what percentage of parliament requires to approve to conduct the referendum. The referendum question must be reduced to a yes or no.
From these, the panel will now take a retreat from which it will come up with 2 candidates' names for the IBC chair and another 9 candidates' names for the 6 commissioners' positions. Then, the panel will forward the names to the president, who will finally appoint the new IBC commissioners. Victor Zing, GBS News at 9.
Nairobi clinical officers have today launched protest accusing Governor Sakaja administration of ignoring their plights and treating them without dignity. They're demanding an implementation of career progression guideline by the county government that was developed in May last year by Public Service Commission in consultation with other stakeholders. It dictates recruitment, promotion, rewiring and retention of clinical officers. To add to their grievances, they are demanding a promotion of their colleagues who deserves the promotion. The clinicians also are demanding for posting of their 5 colleagues that they said have been working with appointment letters since 18th of April 2024 when they were officially recruited. The deployment of the officers, they argued, would help solve shortage of healthcare workers and in the devolved unit. The clinicians were led by the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers in Nairobi branch by the chairman called Stephen Mudhama.
Our employer. It is notable to note that we have negotiated, we have discussed, we have had meetings, but nothing is forthcoming. Every time we go into meetings, there is nothing that comes out of that meeting. Number one, top of the agenda is we have 5 colleagues, 5 clinical officers that were appointed last year, April 18th. They have appointment letter. They were appointed alongside amongst some of us here, and they have never been posted 1 year down the line. 2 is what we call career guideline and progression. This is a policy document that dictates employment, progression, recruitment, and the career path and development for clinical officers. This guideline was done last year, May, by the Public Service Commission in consultation with all stakeholders.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki assured that all promises made by the government will be fulfilled before the next election in order to improve the lives of Kenyans. Speaking on Thursday at Dundoru Bahati constituency in Nakuru when he inspected ongoing development projects, the Deputy President said the focus now is developing the country via key projects targeting raising the socio-economic status of all citizens.
Asante sana. Kidiki eh! Kidikia! The Deputy President checked on the progress of Dundori Esp Market, funded by the national government, which is set for completion early next June. The Deputy President also said that the government is constructing 19 modern markets in Nakuru County, and 2 more will be commenced soon. In Bahati, 3 are already ongoing.
Hii Nakuru County kwa jumla, tuko na soko ile tumeanza kujenga soko 19 na tutatangaza zingine 2 zifike 21, kuhakikisha katika kila sehemu ya uwakilishi bunge katika kaunti hii kuna masoko 3, 2, 4, wanabiashara wetu wawe na mahali safi ya kuuza bidhaa, wanunuzi wapate mahali pazuri, na biashara yetu ikue, tuweke pesa zaidi katika mfuko ya wananchi.
Countrywide, the government is funding over 400 markets, which are in various stages of completion. On top of dignified trading areas, the markets will also have cold rooms to preserve perishable goods and also host ICT hubs for youth to do digital jobs, as well as special places for lactating mothers. Government is also reviving all the stalled roads in the county, as well as expanding electricity connection through the last mile program that is being rolled out across the country.
Hii soko ambayo itagharimu milioni 51, hii soko ni soko ya kisasa. Iko na nafasi ya kina mama kuuza bidhaa, wanabiashara wengine, wanaume kwa vijana, mahali pao pa kuuza.
The Deputy President also called for a meeting with leaders from Nakuru next week to solve pending issues on issuance of title deeds and shamba system farming in the area, as requested by the residents.
Tulime. Nyinyi ni watu ya shamba. Shamba system. Hebu nione wale watu ya shamba wako hapa. Hey. Bas. Tumesikia vile wananchi wanasema, so nimeambia watu ya forestry wasisumbuane na wananchi.
Professor Kindiki said issuance of title deeds will be speeded up as urged by the residents.
Nimeelezwa ya kwamba sehemu hii haina title deeds. Nema kana tema. Kwa hivyo mambo ya title deeds vile nimeongea na waziri na PS wale ambao wanahusika na mambo ya mashamba, na nimeongea pia na county government, deputy governor ako hapa, na tumesema ya kwamba lazima tuharakishe, tukamilishe na tupeane title deeds za Ndunduri.
Professor Kindiki also informed the residents of the government's unwavering commitment to continue to lower the cost of living through subsidizing farm input, lowering inflation, and rate of foreign exchange to ease the prices of food and other critical necessities. This is Jeff Abuki, GBS TV News, Nairobi.
It's time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
Anza wiki yako kwa njia sahihi kwa GBS Jumatatu.
Niko nawe hadi mida ya saa 4 asubuhi. Kwanza niseme asante kwa kuzidi kufuatilia na kutazama vipindi vyetu ambavyo huwa tunakuandalia hapa ndani ya GBS TV Jumatatu. People are now seeing the money that have been given to church as a bribe.
Jiunge nasi kila Jumatatu asubuhi kuanzia saa 1:30.
Nimesikia mwenzangu akifanya hesabu hapo ya vile ambavyo miungano zitakuwa. Ruto is going to fail whether with Raila or without Raila.
Kuna mahali anakosea akisema ati Raila na Ruto wataungana. Hakuna kuungana iko hapo, ndugu yangu, aje nikwambie ukweli.
Hadithi za kunoga.
Ukiangalia Wakenya, wananchi wa Kenya, pia hao maisha yao imedhulumiwa kwa kuongezwa kwa taxes, ziko very high taxes. So the statement by Rigathi Gachagua is just statement ya kumcheck that we can see you we can see between the lines.
Na mazungumzo yenye nguvu ya kukuletea utulivu kwa wiki yako.
Ati Raila ataingia UDA hapo
hiyo ni ndoto. Mimi sasa yote nasema hawezi, sababu nasema hivi mheshimiwa, ikiwa Raila
itakuwa, mimi naona itakuwa
hadi saa 4 za asubuhi kwa majadiliano ya kusisimua.
Mheshimiwa Rais William Samoei Ruto ajue ya kwamba sasa yeye ni president wa Kenya. Sio mambo ya kufanyia wana Kenya mzaha. Kupoteza biashara kwa siku moja katika CPD, nafikiria ni jambo ambalo ni rais.
Usikose, ingia kwenye Gbs TV. Anza Jumatatu yako kwa kusudi.
If the government does not spend, my brother, hakuna maendeleo inaonekana, hakuna barabara zinatengenezwa, hakuna dawa kwa hospitali, my friend, economies will not grow.
Tuonane panapo majaliwa yake Mwenyezi Mungu.
Gbs Jumatatu, palipo mjadala wa leo na mwelekeo wa kesho.
Topic of discussion leo is a hustle culture. Hustle culture, and this is working smart versus working hard.
Working hard is where nina hustle. I'm working like a donkey.
Unaweza pata maybe ulisoma, yes, maybe kumaliza shule, maybe hii inahitaji maybe diploma, maybe ulifika certificate level. So I feel peer knowledge inachangia sana.
Yes,
watu kukua kwa informal.
You have to like plan. You also have to delegate, and it's also sometimes about convenience. What is convenience for you?
Tunaweza work smart hata kama ni kwa informal jobs. Tuki-apply hiyo working smart, we can do something. Si lazima tu ikuwe ni kazi ile uko chini.
I'm picking a dare. Okay. What? Call your mom or dad and sing the chorus of their favorite song loudly. Mama Vanessa,
just a second.
We are live on TV. I need to...
Which TV?
Gbs TV. I'm on the Youth Hub and they want me to sing you a song. I've been dared to sing your favorite song. So
no, don't sing that one, man.
No.
Sing yours.
No, I will sing a nice one. I know many of your songs.
Sing daddy's song.
I sing daddy's song, fine.
Loudly, please.
I love you.
Shout.
You're my baby. I love you. You're the best. Bye, mommy. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
I go.
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back now to international news. Italy has launched a comprehensive security operation as Rome prepares for Pope Francis' funeral on Saturday. With thousands of pilgrims and foreign delegations expected to gather, police and drones are ensuring safety around the clock in the Vatican City and key areas of the city. Here is more on the story.
Italy has launched a major security operation as crowds gather in Rome for Pope Francis' funeral on Saturday. Police drones and patrols are active around the Vatican, ensuring safety as pilgrims arrive to pay their last respects.
I believe that the security machine is ready, but experience tells us that until the last day, we have to be flexible, ready to change services, ready to reshape, and above all, transmit a sense of serenity to the people who are here, because they only have to think about being serene and calm on this day. Certainly, the organisation was lengthy, and the situation of a large influx of people was foreseeable, but this is a different situation that no one hoped for, but Rome has already managed such situations in the past, both for the funerals of popes and for elections.
The Pope's body was moved to St. Peter's Basilica on Wednesday, where it will lie instead for 3 days. Thousands are expected to visit Italy, mourning a leader known for his humility, compassion, and call for peace. Cardinals have begun preparations for the funeral and the conclave to choose Pope Francis' successor. As the world watches, the church mourns a leader who left a profound mark on the hearts of millions. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
India and Pakistan are facing increased diplomatic strain following a deadly militant attack in Kashmir that left 26 people dead. In response, India has announced a series of severe measures, including the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty and the closure of border crossings. This attack, which targeted tourists in the Pahalgam area, comes amid already fragile relations following India's 2019 revocation of Kashmir's semi-autonomous status.
An attack on the tourist town of Pahalgam has sparked widespread outrage across India. The assault, which left several victims dead, was claimed by the separatist group of Kashmir Resistance Front and is the worst civilian attack in the area in nearly 2 decades. In response, India has called for swift justice, with many citizens demanding that the perpetrators be found and punished.
The entire country is angry and wants to see revenge, like our Prime Minister retaliated in the past. We want the attackers to be found. Whoever carried out the attack has committed a grave crime. Those who executed the attack will not be spared.
The Indian government has retaliated by closing a border crossing with Pakistan, suspending a vital river water sharing treaty, and scaling back diplomatic ties, including expelling Pakistani diplomats from New Delhi.
The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. The integrated checkpost Atari will be closed with immediate effect. Those who have crossed over with valid endorsements may return through that route before 1 May 2025. Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any SVES visas issued in the past to Pakistani nationals are deemed cancelled. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SVES visa has 48 hours to leave India.
India also plans to withdraw its advisors from Pakistan, signaling a significant deterioration in bilateral relations.
The defense, military, naval and air advisors in the Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi are declared persona non grata. They have a week to leave India. India will be withdrawing its own defense, navy and air advisors from the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. These posts in the respective high commissions are deemed annulled. PCS reviewed the overall security situation and directed all forces to maintain high vigil. It resolved that the perpetrators of this attack will be brought to justice and their sponsors held to account.
Pakistan has expressed condolences for the victims, and its National Security Council is set to meet to formulate a response. The attack highlights the long-standing conflict between India and Pakistan over Kashmir, a dispute that has been ongoing for over 80 years. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Today, thousands of people gathered at the former concentration camp in Poland to participate in the annual March of the Living, celebrating the 80th anniversary of the camp's liberation. The march saw the participation of over 80 Holocaust survivors who were victims of the genocide during the Second World War. Here's more on the scene.
Today marked the anniversary of the Auschwitz camp liberation. The March of the Living honored the lives of more than 1.1 million victims of the death camp, most of whom were Jewish. The participants, many of them wrapped in Israeli flags, began their journey towards the crematorium where so many lives were lost. Among the marchers were genocide survivors who shared their personal stories of unimaginable suffering and resilience. Israeli President Isaac Herzog participated in the march. The conflict in Gaza has destroyed the image of Israel on the global stage, as many humanitarian organizations, including the UN, have accused Israel of committing genocide against the Palestinian natives. The Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has an arrest warrant issued by the ICC for war crimes and crimes against humanity. So far, the death toll in Gaza continues to rise. More than 51,300 Palestinians have lost their lives, 70% of whom are women and children. The Holocaust is an important reminder of the horrors that unchecked hatred and intolerance can bring. This march is significant as it calls for renewed commitment to prevent such atrocities from ever happening again. However, such atrocities are happening in Gaza, and just like 80 years ago, the world remains silent of the genocide happening. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
A massive wildfire continues to burn in New Jersey's Pineland, with officials warning it could become the largest in 20 years. The Jones Road wildfire has burned at least 12,500 acres and is now 40% contained. With the cause of the fire still under investigation, crews are working to control the blaze, which is expected to burn for several more days.
Massive wildfire continues to burn in New Jersey's Pinelands, with officials stating it could become the largest wildfire in the state in 20 years. The Jones Road wildfire has burned approximately 12,500 acres and is 40% contained as of Wednesday afternoon.
As of 4 p.m. this afternoon, we are at 40% containment, 12,500 acres consumed. Throughout the day, the Forest Fire Service has been addressing lots of resident calls for hot spots and smoke flare-ups. They've been mopping up and working around the perimeter. As you've seen, we continue to work using our air fleet with bucket drops using the helicopter. That will continue until the darkness occurs this evening. Throughout the day, the Fire Investigation Task Force has been working on the origin and kind of cause of this fire, which obviously remains under investigation.
Bill Donnelly, the chief of New Jersey's Forest Fire Service, emphasized the region's extreme fire risk, explaining that the state's pine barrens are the most volatile wildfire fuels in the country. In right conditions, with low humidity and high winds, the fire can spread rapidly and cause catastrophic damage.
You guys have to remember, New Jersey has some of the most volatile wildland fuels in the entire country. Everybody's used to seeing California and things like that chaparral that burns up them hills and goes crazy. Well, these pine barrens out here are the exact same type of fuel model. They are just like having napalm spread across the ground. It's, on the right conditions, when humidity's low and fires become wind-driven, it's just, you can have catastrophic fires as a result of those conditions coming together.
The blaze continues to burn and is expected to rage for several more days, with the hopes for relief arriving later this week, when rain is predicted for Friday and Saturday. The fire is no longer threatening populated areas, but the cause remains under investigation as authorities continue to monitor the situation as efforts to contain the fire remains ongoing. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
The Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwandan-backed M23 rebels have agreed to halt fighting in the east of the country until peace talks mediated by Qatar reach their conclusion. It is the latest truce deal since the rebels stepped up an offensive in the eastern DRC, where authorities say 7,000 people have been killed since January. Davis Karani reports.
The DRC and M23 on Wednesday jointly announced to work towards peace following more than a week's talks, which they described as frank and constructive conversations. Last month, Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame also reaffirmed their commitment to unconditional ceasefire in a surprise meeting in Doha.
My interest is a survival, to live in a country without persecution.
From both the UN and the US, the decades-long conflict has intensified since January, when M23 staged an unprecedented offensive, seizing Goma and Bukavu, eastern Congo's two largest cities, and sparking fears of a wider regional war. DRC Congo accused Rwanda of arming the M23 and sending troops to support the rebels in the conflict.
Why are they fighting? Why do they have arms? Is another question. It is also a simple question. They exist because they have been denied their rights as citizens of that country. They are called Tutsis of Rwanda.
What's the fighting in the DR Congo all about? Time will tell.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
Water remains to be the world's most precious commodity, but is the most misused too. In times of drought, saving water is the only solution to making sure you have it. Don't use the shower when water is scarce. Instead, use the basin while bathing. Repair all leaking taps and pipes. Wash your car only whenever necessary. If not, use a piece of cloth to wipe it clean. Do not use the hose pipe to water your garden. Instead, use the water you clean your vegetable with to water your flowers. Do not release wastewater into rivers. Note that your downstream is someone else's upstream. Of all the waters available on Earth, only 1% is fit for human consumption. Every drop counts.
Hello, boys and girls. How are you today? Because I am very, very happy. So we are on Kids Mind on GBS TV.
Today we're going to make ta-da! A boba tea letter set.
We are moving to singing class.
Skinamarinky dinky ding, skinamarinky doo. I love you.
The tortoise and the hare. Friends, do you know about this story?
Now you're finished to make.
Enjoy yourselves, everybody.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. Israel's blockade of Gaza now is the 8th week, continues to exacerbate what the United Nations has called the worst humanitarian crisis of the war. Alongside a relentless airstrike targeting homes and shelters, Israel's refusal to allow aid, including food, medicine, into Gaza is contributing to the devastation, where recent Israeli attacks have left at least 13 people dead, including women, children, as Abdi Ali reports.
In the early hours of Thursday, Israeli airstrike in Gaza killed 13 people, including 3 children and a local journalist. The victims were among the many affected by the constant barrage of attacks, which have destroyed homes, schools, and medical facilities. With many rescue equipment damaged, efforts to save those trapped under the rubble are indeed challenging. The Palestinian Authority's Communication Center described the situation as one without mercy, highlighting the devastation in places like the Shabura refugee camp, where survivors are left with little hope of respite. The ongoing humanitarian crisis is exacerbated by Israel's continued blockade of aid, despite urgent calls from international bodies like the UN. According to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Gaza is facing its most severe crisis in the 18 months since hostilities started in October 2023. The refusal to allow essential aid into Gaza defies a World Court order demanding that Israel prevent starvation and famine. As the situation deteriorates, it is clear that the humanitarian catastrophe is not just a byproduct of war, but a consequence of political decisions that leave Palestinians suffering without mercy or immediate hope for recovery. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
To the continent, Dr. Kizza Besigye, Uganda's veteran opposition leader and four-time presidential candidate, has filed a new bail application at the High Court in Kampala amid ongoing treason charges and over 150 days in detention. His aide Haj Lutale also submitted a second application charged on the February 21st this year. Besigye argues that he hasn't been committed to trial and cites his age, which is 68 years old, and poor jail conditions as reasons for release. He insists he is not a flight risk, highlighting his compliance with past bail terms and fixed residence. Justice Rosette Comfort Kania denied his earlier bail request on the 11th of April, citing the seriousness of the charges and potential interference. Here's the more of the story. Russia launched attacks on Kyiv and other regions of Ukraine using a combination of missiles and drones. At least 8 people have been killed and over 70 others have been wounded. This attack is reported to be the most devastating on the Ukrainian capital this year. Living buildings destroyed, fires raging, and many civilians trapped under rubble. Ukrainian officials are calling for strikes, a clear indication that Russia, not Ukraine, is the primary obstacle to the peace. Here's more on the story.
Russia launched its biggest attack in Ukraine this year, including 145 drones and 70 missiles. The attack came without warning and hit Kyiv's most vulnerable areas. Emergency services are working tirelessly to rescue those trapped in the rubble as fires continue to spread throughout the city. Mobile phones can be heard ringing beneath the rubble as rescuers search for survivors. In the surrounding regions, the assault was brutal, with cities like Kharkiv also facing waves of drones and missile strikes. Relationship between Trump and Zelensky has deteriorated after Trump accused Zelensky of causing difficulties in the ceasefire talks due to Ukraine's refusal to give up the occupied territory of Crimea.
I will say that I think Russia is ready, and a lot of people said Russia wanted to go for the whole thing. And I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far it's been harder, but that's okay.
Residents in Kyiv sheltered in underground tunnels of the train station to shield themselves from Russian missiles. Zelensky went to South Africa and immediately returned due to the intensity of the attacks. Ukrainian officials are intensifying their calls for international support as the conflict shows no signs of stopping. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Tensions are rising in Ivory Coast just months before a crucial presidential election in October. Opposition leader Tidjane Thiam, once seen as front-runner, has been disqualified from the race over citizenship technicality. Despite renouncing his French nationality earlier this year, now he's vowing to fight on, and his party rejects the ruling and warns on its impact on democracy. Here's more on the story.
Coast opposition leader Tidjane Thiam is refusing to step aside, despite a court ruling that barred him from running in the upcoming presidential election. The decision based on his former citizenship cannot be appealed, even though Thiam officially renounced it in February. to meet eligibility rules. A former government minister and ex-CEO of Credit Suisse, Thiam was widely seen as a strong challenger.
Africans need to have the right and the possibility to choose freely who should lead them. That's all we're asking for.
With tensions rising ahead of the October vote, Thiam warns that blocking legitimate candidates could reignite unrest in a nation still healing from past conflict.
It's not for the government to decide who runs opposition parties or who gets to run against them, and that's what we're trying to do. And I really want the same criteria and demands to be put on Africa as any other part of the world. I don't accept the shrugging and saying this is Africa. I've been getting calls, well, what did you expect? Of course, they were going to block you through dubious means, but I want Africa to be respected, and I'm going to fight so that that type of governance disappears.
As Ivorians look to the future, the October election may become less about who wins and more about whether the system truly allows them to choose. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
It's time for your most favorite segment of the show, the Sports News. Let's get sporty. Gor Mahia, Kenya's most successful football club, has announced plans to build a new stadium in Lukenya, Machakos County. Gor Mahia Deputy Patron Eliud Owalo alongside club officials revealed the project, which will include a 60,000-seater stadium, training pitches and a range of facilities like an indoor gym, swimming pool and a four-star hotel, as Elvis Muyodi reports.
Kenya's most successful football club, Gor Mahia, has unveiled plans to build a new stadium in Machakos County. The announcement was made by the club's deputy patron, Eliud Owalo, who was joined by club officials, including chairman Ambrose Rachier.
We have just assessed a 48-acre piece of land with very, very good topography. We will retreat and then hold consultations based on the same, alongside others that we have seen, with a view to determining where the Gor Mahia Stadium will be built.
First of all, start by thanking our deputy patron profusely for this effort, for just enabling us to identify this. He has already indicated quite clearly what we intend to do, and we just pray that God should give us the wisdom and also the ability to be able to do the constructions that we intend to do.
The development will include a 60,000-seater stadium, training pitches, an indoor gym, swimming pool, and recovery facilities.
We will work with the governance and leadership of the club to primarily in the shortest time possible, determine where we can put up a stadium for the club. This is a facility that the club has longed for a very long time, and we believe that if we put up a stadium, together with training grounds, together with clubhouses for the players, together with other amenities like fitness center and catering facilities, swimming pool, and other attendant facilities, then we should be able to optimize the utilization of that facility for the greater benefit of Gor Mahia Football Club, informed by economies of scale.
Gor Mahia hopes the project will finally provide the club with the facilities it has long needed. Elvin Muyodi, GBS Sports.
Well, we have come to the end of the news bulletin. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again, same time, same channel. My name is Stephen George. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Alan Kiama. Good night.
Everywhere, GBS.